Okay, we're recording.
Oh shit. I was about to tell you something.
Oh my.
Off off
You want me to pause it?
no, it's fine. Off the record, I was gonna
Oh,
tell
I
you.
probably shouldn't eat before
Oh
this.
well. What are you eating?
Peanut butter pretzels.
Hell yeah. From Trader Joe's.
And then this carrot juice.
Carrot juice? That's a
I
big
love carrot juice.
ass bottle of carrot juice.
It's Costco.
That
You're
makes
supposed to
sense.
pour it in a cup, not just like drink it on the go.
Yeah. Like you're supposed to spread it out
Yeah.
for the week. Dude,
Not
I
me.
I was hanging out with my sister. I spent the night at her house and and she woke me up in the morning. She's like, "Do you want coffee?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I'll have coffee.
Yeah.
Like I need coffee
Right.
actually." So that was nice. She's like, "How about we do workout and we go to Costco?"
Oh my
And
god.
I'm like,
How
"Hell."
fun.
You're like, oh, "Can I go with her?" I was like, "I am not going to Costco. Like I hate going to any stores like Target or Ross,
I love Target.
Costco.
I love
I'll
Costco.
go to Trader Joe's and
I
that's
love
literally
Trader
it."
Joe's.
Yeah. And she's like, "What?"
World Mart.
I never even been there.
What's World Market?
Well, yeah, World Mart.
Cost Plus.
But yeah, she like convinced me to go. She's like, "There's so much stuff that you'd want," and like it was fun. We got samples, and
Yeah, that's fun. That's the fun part of
but I spent
Costco.
like $80. I don't even know what I
On like
got.
two things.
I don't know what. I mean, I got some things. Like half of it was on coffee pods.
Okay.
Anyway,
It's a good like 40 bucks. 30, 40 bucks for coffee pods.
yeah,
At
it's
Costco.
like $40. Yeah. Anyway, that's my Costco story.
Costco trip.
Yeah.
I love Costco. I just hate the whole like lines. I hate the parking situation.
Mhm.
And it comes with it. But luckily since I have my days off during the week, um I go
It's
like
not too bad.
yeah.
Yeah, we went on Monday and it wasn't crowded at all,
Yeah.
so that was really cool.
Plus I feel like the one in Torrance is just like it's still crowded, but it's not as crazy as the one in Alhambra.
The one in
Which
Alhambra
one did
is
you guys
crazy.
go to?
Covina.
Covina? Okay. Yeah, the one in Alhambra is fucking crazy.
Yeah, that one's been there
Like
forever.
people were killing people on the
For
streets over
parking
there.
lot
Yeah.
for parking. Oh my gosh. It's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah, and like
Alhambra.
and then like when Soup Plantation was open, rest in peace Soup Plantation, like
Yeah,
you're
seriously.
just like I just want to go to Soup Plantation. I don't even want Costco parking, you know?
Is it in the same?
It,
It
yeah,
is.
it
I
was in the same plaza.
forgot. Damn, what a struggle.
It was such a struggle. Sometimes I would just ditch school to go to Soup
I was
Plantation.
literally about to say, didn't we ditch school one time
I've
and
done
go to
that
soup?
several times.
You've done that with multiple people,
Yeah.
but like,
Um,
I think you one day were like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to
it's
Soup
lemon month.
Plantation."
It was lemon month,
Okay,
probably. Like lemon month was the month that I was like, I'm willing to ditch school to go to
every
Soup
day of the month.
Plantation. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I used to be really scared to ditch because I would always get caught.
Mm.
But I was like, this is worth it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go to Soup Plantation.
I would also ditch to go to Shakey's Bunch of Lunch.
Oh my gosh.
It was
Yeah,
only
that's
during
also
that
worth it.
time while we were in school, and I was like, you
Yeah.
know what? Weighing out pros and cons here.
Damn.
My education or my
Not
stomach.
not worth it. Yeah. Shakey's, Mojo's, like come on.
Yeah.
We should go to Shakey's.
I can't eat. I live right by a Shakey's. I've
Can't
never
eat it.
been there.
Dude, Shakey's
I
is
can't eat it. I
wonder
don't know.
if
I
it's
get
good.
grossed out sometimes.
You
And
could
then
just get beer.
the weird thing too is I also live next to or near Popeyes, and I don't even go to Popeyes. Never been
Not
to that
good?
Popeyes. Never been to that Shakey's.
Hmm.
I don't know what's wrong with me.
You have issues.
I know. Um. So what were you gonna talk about?
Um I
You're
want
listening to you too?
always. No, I don't know why. Like YouTube always comes up when you're like when you didn't choose music
Right.
because they're in your Apple Music. Like that's not cool.
Yeah. You didn't delete them. They got like
Whatever.
sued or something.
Yeah, they're annoying for that. Yeah, I wanted to talk about like attachment styles. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't know about attachment styles.
I don't.
Don't
And when
okay.
you told me, I was like, okay, I'm waiting for her to tell me about it. And then afterwards, you're like, I'm gonna do some research, and I was like, me too. And I
Oh,
never did.
you never did it?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I guess I'll just have
So you have
to
to
educate
explain it.
you.
You have to explain everything to me.
So apparently there's four attachment styles that are secure, which is the one everybody wants to be, like that's the goal
Mm-hmm.
one. There's avoidant attachment, anxious attachment, and fearful, disorganized attachment.
Hmm.
Um,
So there's only like 4 or 5.
there's four main ones, like primary ones, but like I'm sure there's like a combination of some. Like I heard there's like anxious, avoidant, like
Yeah.
combinations, but I feel like those are more rare. And you'd have to take a test in order to like really get that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you would have researched it,
Yeah.
maybe taken the test,
Me
but
too.
by me telling you about it, maybe you can figure out which one you are.
Okay.
So I took the test and I was very surprised it says I'm secure.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah. But
I think I'm a little too secure sometimes because like
so
I'm the type of person, and I'm not like this as much anymore
too
because
secure.
I'm in like a good relationship, but
Yeah.
I just I used to be the type of person that's like, fine, fucking leave, I don't care. But
Yeah.
maybe I did care, but I always had this like mentality, and I kind of like sometimes still do, is that I'm gonna be fine if somebody leaves my life. Like
Mhm.
as long as like I'm good,
Mhm.
I'm pretty like self-sufficient like overall.
Mhm.
So that's always just kind of been in the back of my
Like I
head.
don't need anyone else,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're literally describing the worst one. No, I'm just kidding.
Probably.
No, that actually is very much avoidant attachment.
Oh
So
shit.
avoidant attachment style is like I love myself, I don't need you or your love. And then also kind of like when emotions get too much, too heavy,
Mhm.
or like vulnerability gets like becomes very important in the relationship,
Uh-huh.
they avoidant attachment styles seem to like kind of back away
Mm.
and kind of back off because they it's harder for them to show their vulnerabilities and show their emotional side,
Okay,
and they
I
kind
could
of
believe that.
and like the most severe avoidant people are like, oh, like you're way too emotional, like I cannot meet you on that level, like I'm just not going to be with you type of
Mhm.
thing. But they very much like are self-sufficient and independent
Mhm.
and don't need another person to like complete them, which
Right.
no one does.
Yeah.
But to be like, for example, in a secure relationship style, they both see that they do find value in each other,
Mhm.
like that need in each other, but they're not gonna like sacrifice their own, I don't know, like their love of themselves for the other person.
Okay.
But there's like a balance, you know?
Right.
So I guess something I found interesting about the attachment styles is like how are they formed, you know?
Right. That has to do with like your childhood and your
You're,
upbringing and stuff, right?
yeah, like basically your primary caregiver, like how they cared for you, like how did that go? So
Mm.
for
Okay.
avoidant, it seems like kids who grew up with parents who kind of weren't there completely for their needs,
Mhm.
for their child's needs all the time. The child might have just grown up thinking like, oh, my needs aren't important.
Mhm.
um and then the parent maybe gave them like a lot of independence. They kind of just grew up thinking like, hey, I just need myself, like I don't need someone else to um like just care about my emotions or whatever.
Right.
So that just reflects them in their relationships.
Uh-huh.
Does that like make sense?
Yeah, kind of makes sense. I think I think this partially has to do with like cultural and just
Mhm.
possibly the circumstances that like my mom and my grandma faced, because my grandma
Mm.
raised me when I was a kid with all
Mhm.
my cousins. Um, as far as like after school, we were at my grandma's house every single day during the week, because my mom had to work.
Mhm.
So I still consider that as like raising me, because she did those like hours, after school, that I'd be there until my mom picked me up, or picked me and my brother up. So like my grandma, because of, I want to say it's a cultural thing, but they're like she's very tough.
Tough
It,
love.
tough love, like
Yeah.
in that sense. So she didn't really give us too much affection or like
Yeah.
love and like hugs and kisses and stuff, but she took care of us and loved us in other ways. And I want to say that's probably a Mexican thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, I don't know. I think when I was little, she did like hug me and kiss me and love me, but
Mm-hmm.
like I want to say like over time, like she kind of stopped doing that and also was like doing the tough love type of thing. Um, because even now, like when we're on the phone or I'm getting off the phone with her, I have to be the one to tell her, okay, I love you. Like, she
Mm-hmm.
won't say it until I say it. And I think it's because like she's not used to it or like I don't
Well, that
know.
makes sense because you said your grandma's like the tough love, and your grandma raised your mom.
No, so this is my dad's mom though.
Oh.
My dad's mom is the one that
Hmm.
pretty much like raised us when I
Interesting.
was up until like elementary and middle school. Um and then my mom, like who was raised by my other grandma,
Yeah.
um she's like that. But my other grandma is also kind of
Oh.
tough because she had to be a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
So she had to just like take care of her daughters and then like that was pretty much it. There was no like affection either. So that's why I want to say it
Yeah.
might be a cultural thing.
Yeah. It
Um
was all about like surviving.
yeah,
I
like
mean, basic needs were met.
yeah. So that's all that mattered. It was all just like about survival mode, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of like rubbed off on me.
Mm-hmm.
Um in that kind of sense and then like because both my 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 mom's mom and my mom kind of were always in survival mode. Like they had to just be like tough and like I don't know, they didn't have time to care about like
What
giving
am I
kisses and
feeling,
stuff
and
like
what
that.
is my
Yeah.
child
So I
feeling?
think that probably rubbed off on me.
Mm-hmm. What
Um
What about when you were a kid and you were like emotional or you were crying? Like, were you very emotional as a kid?
so it's funny because like I feel like a couple of months ago I like I had like a just like I don't know, a realization of things.
Yeah.
So I was on the phone and with my mom and I forgot what we were talking about. And I just like blurted it out and I was like, "Well, yeah, like you never let me cry." And like
Oh,
she started
dang.
like laughing and she was like, "That's because you had to be tough." And I was just like
Hmm.
like after it was fine, like it wasn't like a crazy conversation. Like we just got off the phone and it was what it was. But I just like got off the phone with her and I started thinking, I was like, my mom actually didn't let me cry. Like she wouldn't let me cry. She would tell me to like stop crying or like suck
Yeah.
it up or like stop being so emotional or sensitive.
Wow.
And it's just crazy because like now that I'm older, I'm realizing like how much that affected me. Like
For sure.
and
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it. Because now
Mhm.
I cry all the time
All the time.
and I'm just like, why didn't I cry when I was younger? Like, I
Yeah.
never cried, or I hardly cried, I would say. I don't want to say never.
But you do have an emotional side, but when you showed it, you were like told not to be that way.
Right.
So growing up, you're like, "Oh man, like don't cry or whatever."
Yeah. And so, like, as a kid, even, I just, I think I had a hard time. And I'm not going to say, like, I never cried, because I do remember times where I did. But if my mom was around, it would be like, stop crying. Like,
Mhm.
don't cry.
You wouldn't let yourself like
Or
fully
I
let
try
it
to
out.
like hold it in. It's like
Yeah,
the worst feeling when you hold in a sneeze and then you're holding in a cry
it
too. Like
hurts
those are
so
like
bad.
similar
Both.
feelings.
Yeah. It feels like it just hurts like in your
Yeah.
throat. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate that. Yeah, it sounds like definitely like some avoidant attachment style, but I feel like now you seem very secure.
Yeah.
But that was probably like when you were first dating and like kind of exploring, you probably were more avoidant. And I would say maybe you lean more towards that because you're more self sufficient and you do love yourself a lot. Um,
You're a little too
yeah,
much.
you need to calm down. But like literally the opposite of that is anxious attachment. Those
Hmm.
people are the type that like feel like they're not worthy of love and they need someone to love them.
Yeah.
And like anxious also just meaning like how the word is like they think their partner's cheating on them.
Hmm.
They want to know what their partner's doing, like, very like maybe even clingy.
Hmm.
But that's like very severe. And them growing up, it was kind of like the parent did not really meet their needs, very inconsistent.
Uh-huh.
Or it could be the parent was there like too much for their needs, and the child never had to like figure anything out
Yeah, like
for
let go.
themselves.
Uh-huh.
Like their parent was like just right there, and they did not become self-sufficient. They feel like they had to rely on their caregiver to make them feel better,
Right.
because it was they were always there for them.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like if you're a parent, like how much should you be there for your child, you know?
Yeah, and I guess like, in so many ways I appreciate my mom for doing that, but
Mhm.
also I do realize like how that took a toll on me or affected me growing up. Um, because like the reason I have to love myself is because I've been so self-sufficient and independent for a long time. That in just like other ways, not like housing or things like that, because I
Mm.
lived with my parents up until like 3 4 years ago.
Like
So
emotionally self-sufficient.
yeah, or just like, I mean, sometimes, yeah, like financially actually too, other than like them housing me. But there's just like, I don't know, I just like, I figured so many things out for myself, and like there were very few people that like wanted to help me or cared to help me, or were like cared to
Mhm.
even look out for me, that I have to like love myself first because I've done so much work for myself,
Mhm.
when so many people weren't there for me. And I saw how other people would like be, handed jobs or like given
Mm.
opportunities for no reason just because people were looking out for them.
Mhm.
And that never happened to me. Like
Mhm.
I always kind of had to just figure shit out on my own and like build myself up on my own
Yeah.
and even start from the bottom. Like,
Yeah.
even like when we started working, we didn't just get handed jobs. Like we were working at McDonald's, and
Yeah.
that
My
was
dad did get me that job. He's like, "You want to work at McDonald's? I know the manager." I was like, "No," and he's like, "Okay, well, I got you an interview."
well, I mean, not just like those type of jobs, I guess, but like still like it's starting from the bottom,
Yeah,
and kind of
for
having
that
to
was the bottom.
still like work your way up after that. So,
Definitely.
so yeah, I do feel like I feel good because I'm so self-sufficient, but I think now that I'm an adult, like I have to work on like my softer side and just
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't know, like caring for like my inner child self,
Yeah.
that wasn't given the opportunity to cry or be too sensitive, because now I'm
Yeah.
fucking sensitive.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what that girl was saying that you interviewed. She was talking about inner child a lot, which I thought was really cool. Like she was saying like there are
Yeah.
parts of
Well, even
ourselves.
that episode, we had an episode where we were even talking about our inner child, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna start like crying because
Mhm.
it's hard to talk about your inner child.
Yeah.
It, you look back and you're just like that little kid. I don't know what age you look at, but I look kind of like second, third grade me,
Oh, okay.
and I'm just like, like I had these tiny little eyes and like curly hair and things like that.
Aww.
And it's just like that little kid didn't know shit of what was gonna happen.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so you have to kind of like go back into that time and,
Mhm.
be nice to them.
Because you're still that little
Yeah,
kid. Like that's what the girl was saying. What's her name?
Marquise.
Yeah, she was saying like we are still those parts of ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like when she said that, I was like, damn, like I never realized that we are. Like we think we're growing up and we're just adults.
Right.
But no, like I like for me, I can be very silly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hope I just never lose that, because that is literally like the 12, 13-year-old me,
Yeah.
just like happy all the time.
Uh-huh.
And like of course there's times when I'm not like that, when I go dark.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, like when I feel like I want to have my inner child with me like all the time,
Yeah.
because that is like, I don't know, the free spirited self.
Yeah, and I think when you separate yourself too much from your inner child, I think that's when like it scares you a
Mm,
little bit, because you're so disconnected from that inner child
yeah.
that you're like, I don't want that child to see me like this because
Mhm.
I'm so like far from it now. And
Mhm.
I think that's why like I was like, oh man, I don't even want to talk about it because like it makes me sad because
Mm.
not that I'm not like proud of who I am. It's just like I've been so disconnected from my inner child. I've been in like survival mode and trying to figure
Yeah.
shit out.
You've been
So
trying to avoid your inner child.
yeah,
Like kind of like Jonah Hill and his younger self.
right, yeah,
That was like his shadow. Like our
yeah,
inner child like could be our shadow
right. I think
too.
that was the episode we mentioned that.
Yeah. And he was saying he was like always trying to like hate on that part of
Right,
him, but like
yeah,
you can't. You have to like love that part of you. Like as a kid, like crying for no reason or like wanting approval from your friends.
yeah,
But yeah, very interesting time. And I mean, the whole attachment thing is supposed to be from like up until you're 5 years old. So it's like very, very early
yeah.
in your caregiving times. I think for me, like even though now I am secure, I feel like for a long time, or even still, I can lean towards anxious
Mm,
because my mom like met all my needs for me and like always there for me. Like maybe not super emotionally because
mm,
she's not like she's never been able to show her emotions that well.
right.
The same like kind of crying thing. Like I remember having to tell my mom when when I was going through my breakup,
Mm-hmm.
like a song came on. I think I told you this,
Uh-huh.
and I just started crying. And my mom's like, "Stop crying, turn off this song."
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, mom, I need to cry. Let me cry."
Yeah.
And like ever since I told her that, like she even remembers it. And she's like, now I know like it's okay to cry. And I'm like, damn, like I taught my mom something
Yeah.
because like when she was growing up, like that was not okay.
Yeah.
Like her basic needs weren't even met.
Right.
So I don't know. And then I feel like the whole anxious thing is like because my mom was always there for me. Like I remember if she would be gone too long,
Mm-hmm.
I would get like really sad, really scared. I hated sleeping over at like my grandma's house
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to be away from my mom.
Yeah.
I felt like super, super safe with her.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that also has to do with like me and my attraction and me like preferring to be with women
Mm-hmm.
because I grew up with my mom and I see how like strong women are and I've only had to rely on a woman and they're the only ones who have showed me that they are capable of like meeting my needs.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And I even though my dad wasn't there,
Right.
I'm glad he wasn't because if he was, things would have not been good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's reinforces even more a reason for me to like not give a shit about what a man thinks about me or
Right.
like men tell me like, oh, like you're very attractive, like all these different things, like compliments, and I'm like, I really don't care, like at all, because of course I love my dad,
Yeah.
but he was never there, and if he was, it would have been terrible. I already know that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad he wasn't there.
Mm.
So that is like even more of why I think women are something that I just like am more attracted
More
to.
attracted to, yeah. That makes sense actually now when you put it that way. And I'm sure everyone's like reasoning for, liking women or men is different,
Mm-hmm.
but like the way you're wording it actually makes
It
sense.
Yeah, and this is like kind of what I realized.
Because I'm starting to think too, like, you know how there's like that Freud theory that we're attracted to like our parents or like some form of our parents. Like
Yeah,
if
Freud's
you're
a
it,
little crazy
yeah,
though.
it's crazy, but like the reason I think behind those theories is because that's the first time we see love and we receive love is through
Mm-hmm.
our parents most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we try to find those similar feelings because it makes us feel, good, or it makes us feel safe.
Yeah,
Which
safe.
is why like some women who were, abused at home, they kind of lean towards like abusive men or toxic
Because they
men
think that's what's safe.
because that's safe to them. That's
Yeah.
like normal. Um, so I think like yeah, that the way you worded it makes sense. It's like our parents are like the source and beginning of our journey in love.
In relationships, in
Yeah.
safety and love. Yeah.
So it would make every reason why you're attracted to someone similar,
I mean, like, not even just attracted, but like, yeah, feeling safe and
well,
just,
attracted not just physically, but like,
yeah. Like, I just feel like I want more love from a woman
hmm,
because that is what I've been shown
right.
my whole life. And like, my sister obviously isn't gay, but we're 8 years apart, and she did see
Your dad
like my
more.
dad, like she did grow up with him. She saw those good parts of him, like being a
Mm-hmm.
dad. So I think that that shows her like male figures and like
Mm-hmm.
the importance of that too. And like I've for like the past few years I've realized like I've never had like a male figure that I've looked up to. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
been men who I'm like, oh yeah, like I've learned a lot from that man. Like my coaches, like I'll end up seeing them as like dads.
Uh-huh.
And like I'm like, yeah, that's like very rare because I've never been able to like see that in my own dad.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
I mean, I can't say that I have too many like male role models either, to be honest.
Yeah.
I look up to like certain, well, I mean, if we're looking or speaking in terms of like celebrities or something, like I
Mhm.
think like there are a lot of men that I'm like, oh, that guy's cool, or like
Denzel
they've done
Washington.
so much work. He's actually really cool.
Yeah. Everyone loves him.
But as far as like personally knowing, I don't have too many men to look up to either. I mean, I love my dad, but he
Mhm.
wasn't the best role model for me or my brother.
But he still showed you guys love. He was still there.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that when I was a kid, my dad actually wasn't there.
Mm.
He was always traveling because of work.
Mm.
So I like would hardly see him. I'd see him maybe like once a week or like
Mhm.
every other 2 weeks or something
I
like
think that
that.
does go for a lot of dads because they're working.
Yeah. So my dad was like not around as much when I was like a kid. I would say up until maybe like fourth grade.
Hmm.
Because then he got injured really bad. Um,
He
and
was at work
he
more.
was at work.
Okay.
Oh, well, no, what happened was he got injured. I think it was around like, yeah, fourth grade or so. He started working more closer, like around like the Pasadena area.
Mhm.
And then so I would see him a little more around fourth, fifth grade, and then about sixth grade is when he got injured,
Mm.
something around that time. So he couldn't actually work
Okay.
anymore around my middle school time.
He was around.
And he was around like way too much because he wasn't working, he was
Yeah.
injured, and
Your mom was probably
it was
pissed.
terrible.
Yeah, it was too much.
um, but yeah, like when I was a little kid though, like he was always working.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, my grandpa, I can't say much for him being like a husband because I've heard a lot of, terrible things about him as a
Mm.
husband. But as a grandpa, he was my only grandpa, which is my dad's dad. He was a good role model in the sense where when I look for men, I'm always going to be looking for a man that works hard because my grandpa always worked hard.
Like in a relationship?
Yeah, like I hate
Oh.
lazy guys. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
And my grandpa worked up until like he had cancer and he was still working. Like
Yeah.
he just needed to work. That was his mentality. He's very old school. And
Mm.
I think about a week or two before he died, he was still working.
Wow.
Yeah. He had bone cancer.
That's freaking crazy, dude.
Yeah. So although like I didn't get to spend like too much time with him all the time, like he was just kind of a role model in that sense where like that's
Mhm.
my mom even told me when I was younger, she's like, that is a man who like works really hard.
That's your
My
mom's.
dad's my dad said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he always like took care of my mom too. Like he always looked
Mm.
out for her because she didn't have her dad around. So, and my
Oh.
parents have known each other since they were kids. So,
Yeah.
my grandpa always respected my mom's mom because she was a single mom and she just fucking
Yeah.
hustled and like,
Damn.
raised her daughters by herself.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, that was kind of some sort of role model that I had, but I don't think I have too many
Yeah.
male role models.
So that's interesting how like you said your mom's mom was like hustling all the time. So your mom probably has so much respect for women and that's probably why she's
Yeah.
like such an activist for
Yeah.
women's rights because my mom could give a shit about women's rights because till this day my mom is like still resents my grandma for
Mm.
not being like the best mom.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like can you imagine if my grandma was like an amazing mom to my mom? Like
Yeah.
she probably would be like an activist too. Like who knows?
Yeah.
It's just crazy how like those things from so long ago affects a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, and how you respect people and treat people or who you even look up to. My
Mm-hmm.
mom has a lot of still trauma from my grandma. My mom admits like she wasn't
Oh.
the best mom because
Oh.
like I said, my grandma was always in survival mode, so she didn't
Yeah.
have time to like
Super tough
care
love.
about like sensitive
Right.
feelings and things like that.
Right.
Um so but the thing is my mom has a lot of empathy, and so because of that she sees past like my grandma's like tough love or like
Yeah.
things.
She sees where she came from and like
Yeah,
why she had to be that way.
yeah,
Yeah, that
and I
makes
think
sense.
because my mom sees that, and maybe that's why I'm empathetic and
Mm-hmm.
see past even my mom. She I love her so much, and she raised me and my brother to be good people, but
Yeah.
looking back, I do see things that I wish like maybe she did differently,
Yeah.
but it's like it is what it is. My mom tried her best
Yeah.
raising me and my brother, so
You accept like those
yeah,
imperfections, but like even still with like the things that they didn't do right, I feel like those are the things that make us stronger.
yeah,
Because like this is what I've told my sister, like she thinks like, oh, my parents should have stayed together
hmm,
and kept their business and our life would have been like so freaking amazing.
yeah,
But like that is true, but imagine if we were handed everything like that. Like
yeah,
we wouldn't have been like as self-sufficient as we are
yeah.
now, or like have the same understanding for other people that struggle.
Hmm.
Um
I
like
forgot what business your parents had.
they had like window screens.
Okay,
Like they were doing really really well, and my sister's always like if they had a house, you know, they
hmm,
bought a house, like she's like they could have given us that house, like this and
yeah.
that, and I'm like, yeah, but you know, it didn't happen.
It is what it is.
It didn't happen, and because it didn't, like I think we're still totally fine,
Yeah,
but like because it didn't happen, like what did we become because of that, you know?
yeah. That's
That's
true.
the way I like to look at it, like, and it's not easy to accept that because obviously like I didn't grow up seeing that lifestyle, like I was a baby,
Yeah.
but my sister did. She grew up with like vacations to like Disney World,
Hmm.
like all this crazy stuff, so I
Hmm.
can see why, you know, that might piss her off a bit.
Yeah. Sure resents it a little.
Yeah, but like look at like now she's given the best life to her family and her kids,
Hmm.
and I think either way, I think she would have done that, but I think the struggles that she had to go through like definitely made her stronger.
Yeah, I think for a lot, all of us
For all of
actually.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Not
builds character.
yeah, like you're not just like, "Oh yeah, like my family has a business and I went to private school my whole life and yeah, you know, I have a degree and I have a great job now."
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Like how am I going to relate to you?
But what did you actually work for, you know?
Yeah.
And there's just so many, how I might be getting like lost here, but I there are people who go on trips and they go like camping or they go like just I don't know, they travel or do these like things. I want to say like a lot of white people activities.
Mhm.
Um and then they try to make that their personality because they don't have much of a personality, and
Yeah.
so like all they do or talk about is like
Traveling,
traveling or
what they saw
camping,
and traveling,
and it's very like,
camping.
okay, do you not have like a personality to talk about, like you can't say anything else.
Mhm.
I think i think all the struggles and like the oppressions that you face, it builds so much character, and it builds so
Mhm.
many like talking points for like sharing your experience of
Mhm.
life, and versus like someone that's just like always like doing the same shit because they don't,
Taking no risks
yeah,
basically.
because they don't have any other way to experience life. and
Yeah.
and it's kind of similar to like people without cultures.
Mhm.
I guess that's like a lot of white people, because some of them are American white people, because
Americans.
they don't have too
They
much
have
culture,
they have
and so they
American
just take
culture.
other people's culture.
Yeah,
But even a culture builds your character.
for sure.
So it's just like we have so much personality because of all these like circumstances and oppressions and struggles that we've faced, and that's probably why like we have just like a lot to say too. And I don't know, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Not
Yeah.
all the time, but
Yeah, it can be. It could get deep. And like I still think, even though people go through struggles and oppressions, like that doesn't mean they're going to change for the better. Like sometimes those
Yeah.
people like don't get better,
Yeah.
or
Or they're like bitter.
yeah, and that sucks,
Yeah.
and I don't know, hopefully like those people can, I don't know, just kind of see a positive side to the things that happen to them.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would happen, but I don't know. I feel like we try to learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
For me, it takes like a couple more times,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I think for me too, though.
yeah, it takes us a while to really be like, okay, like
I need
I'm
to
not
stop
doing
doing
that.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think we're both a little bit like that. I don't know why, but we like to push the limit, maybe.
Maybe. Um, but anyway, going back to like your attachment styles,
Yeah,
um, so you were going into, you said anxious
anxious
attachment,
attachment. Yeah,
uh, and that's something that you said that you maybe feel like you pick up sometimes.
yeah. If I was like leaning towards any of the non-secure ones, I think it would definitely be that one because there definitely are times in like relationships or like when I'm not in a relationship where I'm just like I need like someone to tell me like they love me or someone to tell me like they need me.
Yeah.
And I guess you probably have never thought that or felt that way.
About being in a relationship, um, I
Or
feel like now sometimes I do need that.
yeah, yeah.
Because this is the longest relationship I've been in, like a serious relationship, and I feel like now it's getting like, when you have so much time, you're bound to become more vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I feel like because I'm becoming more vulnerable now that
You are needing
I
that
do
person.
need some, yeah,
And then, like
sometimes.
I think there is like a certain degree that you do need that, but if
Yeah.
that's like your everyday feeling, that is
Yes.
not good. And like I've definitely been in relationships where I'm like I cannot lose this person.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm more of an anxious attachment
Hmm.
style, and like yeah, if anything I would say I would be that, but apparently I'm secure,
Yeah.
which is awesome. So thanks mom.
For like, I would say I have like probably a 2 year mark, and I haven't had that many serious relationships, but um, I think that's like my cutoff time of when I like start to just be like avoidant or be like, I don't need this shit. If we're fighting,
I think after two
I don't want to
years
work through
things
shit. Like,
yeah.
you know? So that's about the time where I'm still like avoiding things possibly,
Hmm.
or at least in my past. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just because you're one attachment style right now doesn't mean you're gonna be that forever.
Yeah, well, I still have to take the test because I'm probably secure. I'm
Yeah,
just
I
kidding.
think you are. It changes. Like when I got out
Nothing's
of,
wrong. I'm fine.
yeah, you're not avoiding anything. Like when I got out of my last relationship, like I for sure was like super anxious.
Well, I think everyone is when you
Yeah,
get out of a relationship.
yeah,
If you're the person that's like being dumped or in a way in a form of being rejected, I
yeah,
think you're gonna be anxious because you're like, fuck, like
yeah,
what went wrong here?
yeah. And then like blaming yourself or,
Yeah, and you're like more caught off guard than the other
yes,
person who's like cheating or the other person that's like, I'm ready to call it quits
yeah,
because they've been ready.
yeah.
And so when someone just cuts you and you're just like, fuck, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, I think anything that you're not expecting is going to affect you more because
Yeah,
if you're expecting it, then you're like, okay, I was ready for this, I was prepared.
yeah,
But if you're not, then you're
yeah,
like, oh shit, like I did not see this coming, and my whole life is like different now because
yeah,
of that whatever happened.
yeah.
Um, and I think that has a lot to do with like people healing from trauma, like whether they expected it or not,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
So is there any more attachments that you were gonna
Yeah, the
mention?
last one is the fearful avoidant, and that one is a really really hard one to have because these people can have like borderline personality disorder. Like
Mm,
they're back and forth. Like they're like I need you, and then they're like get away from me. And these types of attachment styles usually come from people who do have childhood trauma.
uh-huh.
Um or like, you know, any type of abuse, psychologically, physically, sexual,
Mhm.
they tend to have this type of attachment style, and the way that they have to heal from that is literally like getting therapy and like realizing that they have that. So it's called fearful attachment or disorganized attachment.
Uh-huh.
And it's like a low percentage of people have it, but I mean, yeah, I feel like I've known people that have this attachment style.
From what you know, what do you think is the most common attachment style?
Apparently, like from the podcast I was listening to, 50%, 55% are secure.
Really?
So like half people
That's
are
weird.
secure,
I don't believe that actually.
and then 20% are avoidant.
Uh-huh.
So I guess maybe 20-30% are anxious.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, apparently half of the people are secure, which is like, I think that's pretty true. Like 1 out of 2 people, 5 out of 10 people.
I guess. I don't see that though.
You don't think so?
No. I also don't really believe in stats that much
Yeah,
anymore. I feel
anymore.
like people aren't grasping,
Yeah.
you know, the right population sometimes.
I mean, I guess like I was surprised that I'm considered secure.
Yeah,
So I guess some people who you might not think are like,
are secure.
actually are.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, and then it always changes too. So it's hard to put a statistic on it.
Yeah, it's very open-ended.
Yeah. But yeah, I think attachment styles are very interesting and like helping us learn more about ourselves and
Yeah,
why we are the way we are, and then like even for other people, and then
true.
kind of giving them like more empathy, like, oh, it's like it's out of your control, like why that formed, and
Yeah,
then you can change it.
true. But I don't think everyone you're saying how like to be more empathetic for people who are have different attachment styles because the way they were raised or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to some extent, but some people like you don't get an excuse to be an asshole all the time, you know?
For sure.
That's that's
Yeah,
not
like
okay.
don't be an asshole all the time, like at least.
Just because you were raised like,
Yeah.
in an orphanage or something.
Yeah, that I mean, where I work, there's some people who you're just like, why are you that way?
Yeah.
Um, and I, even though I can get upset with these people sometimes, I'm like, damn, like I have to remember like what they've been through.
Yeah. True.
Especially if they're older,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, how would I be
Yeah.
in those situations? But if they're younger and they're just straight up being assholes, then I'm like, all right, you literally have some work to do. But that's
Yeah.
why they're there. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I still can't give them shit because they're trying to get better here.
I guess that's true.
But not everyone's trying to get better. So
Yeah, not everyone's like doing the work for it, and it takes a lot of work to like
yeah,
be a good person.
yeah.
If you've experienced like trauma or like if you had a bad upbringing.
I think some people who are the types that don't care for others, like I don't even think they have to go through trauma. I think it could be as simple as like maybe their parents didn't show them
Hmm.
affection that much or were emotionally unavailable for them. Like they can grow up and be very mean, careless
Or
people,
like cold.
just cold people. There's a lot of people like that, and I feel like we, because we are empathetic type people, like we don't really surround ourselves with those type of people. Like
Yeah.
when I meet someone like that, I'm kind of automatically like, yeah, I'm not gonna get close to you.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been in, well, a lot of relationships, whether I was dating or had a boyfriend or something, like the guys try to hurt me by saying I'm cold because I try to shut shit down like real quick.
Yeah,
And
that's interesting.
it's funny because that used to actually hurt my feelings when even my mom would say that and she would fucking hurt my feelings. She'd be like, "You're cold, you don't care about things." And I started realizing I'm like, "No, I'm fucking not. You're just being an asshole to me and I don't want to deal with it and I'm trying to shut it down
Yeah,
because you're going to keep hurting me." So, in
yeah,
order to protect my feelings,
yeah,
I need to cut shit
yeah.
because I'm not going to keep letting you hurt my feelings.
Mhm.
So, it was kind of a form of gaslighting in some way.
Yeah,
Like people trying to say, like, reverse it and say, I'm mean, I'm cold
yeah,
because I'm trying to, like, get away from it.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so for a period of time, I did think I was mean and cold.
yeah,
And I did think I was like this bitch and like,
yeah. Totally.
um, I just like started realizing because I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm actually like the furthest thing from that. I do care a lot about people that I don't even know,
Mhm.
and I'm super sensitive. So I'm not a mean person, and I'm not this
Mhm.
cold bitch that people try to paint me to be.
Right. That's
Um,
awesome that you realize that, like, who you really are.
yeah, and I remember one of my friends. I was feeling. I think it was like in my 20s. I was probably like 20. I remember I was at PCC and like I was just like on the phone with her and she was just like, she's like, you act like you're this bad person. You know, you're not a bad person, right? And I like that conversation and that just like that sentence
Yeah.
just like really stuck with me
Yeah.
because I was just like, I'm not a bad person. Why am I feeling like, why am I treating myself like I'm a bad person?
Yeah.
Um, and then that just like stuck with me and I kind of just like held on to it since then.
That's awesome.
Um, because yeah, because people would name call and tell me
Yeah.
these things, and I just like I would accept it a little bit and just be like, I guess I'm just mean. I guess
Yeah.
I'm just a bitch.
We'll it's crazy how we'll accept like what other people say about us and we're like, "Oh yeah, I am, I guess." But
Yeah, but then I was just like, you know what? No, how I'm a bitch because I have boundaries.
yeah, you're putting up boundaries, which I realize that when we're making people uncomfortable, they will like call us out on
Yeah,
things that they is making them feel more in charge in a way, more protected because we're essentially threatening them
yeah,
when we are being upfront about how we are, how we want boundaries.
mm-hmm,
And it comes off as mean setting boundaries
yeah,
and it makes people uncomfortable. So they're going to say, "Oh, you're mean,"
yeah,
because they need to feel like they can like protect themselves. We're
yeah.
always just trying to protect
Protect
ourselves.
ourselves.
But like even when I first met you in
Yeah,
like freshman year, like 14 years old, I thought you were like the nicest person ever.
yeah,
And then as time went on, I noticed you did become more protective of your feelings,
yeah,
but I think it's because of the shit that had happened to you in
yeah,
relationships.
yeah.
So the way you're acting more like quotations cold,
Uh
it's
huh.
because you were trying to protect yourself and your feelings and to set
Yeah,
boundaries with people. And I can see how that comes off as cold.
yeah,
But I kind of understood it because I was like, oh yeah, I remember like that dude, did that to her and shit like that. And I was like, yeah, like she's definitely gotta, like you gotta protect yourself at that
yeah,
point.
yeah. And so I think I mean, that's a kind of like a form of trauma too. So like it's
For
just
sure.
something you like use to like I guess to learn from it and then just like protect yourself so like, I don't know, doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, and it didn't happen anymore after a while.
Yeah.
After a while.
After like the eighth time.
Yeah. So, I mean, after the like so many times, of course you're gonna come off as mean.
Yeah. But I think it's important to not let it like get to you
Become your
and become
personality.
your personality because then
Yeah.
you're letting like those people that hurt you win.
Yes.
And you're internally not like that, so
Yeah.
it's kind of the story, a lot of stories of like villains in movies and stuff.
Mm,
Like
that's true.
I always like use the Joker as an example because the one with
Uh,
Joaquin Phoenix was like it kind of explains the journey of becoming a villain,
yeah.
and it's all of the trauma and like abuse from other people, and then you let them kind of win
Mhm.
if you become this villain.
Mhm.
um and I think
That's a good example because he did go through a lot of shit,
yeah,
and I'm sure he already had some issues going on with his like
mental health and stuff.
yeah, and that was it. That's all it took. Kind of like school shooters too. Like,
Yeah. And it's funny because I mean this is kind of random and probably is a little related but not, but me and Jesse were walking to the store. Um I don't know what we were talking about, but I brought up like, oh, like people that become clowns and stuff. Like I have this real soft spot for them because
hmm,
I just feel like it took a lot for somebody to probably get there. And maybe not in all cases. I don't feel bad for bearded ladies. I feel like they're rocking that shit, like they own it.
yeah.
But there are some people like that are dressing up because they want to make money or like maybe this is their way of trying to make people happy. I don't know. And
Hmm.
I just feel really empathetic. Like I have a soft spot for somebody that's like
Hmm.
dressed up like that.
Hmm.
Um And maybe I shouldn't for every person, but I do. So,
For clowns,
yeah.
especially.
I mean, think about it. Like, it probably, like, would you dress up as a clown?
Maybe for Halloween.
Would you dress up to work as a clown?
No,
Yeah, right?
no
It takes a
way.
lot for someone to do
That would
that.
be weird.
Yeah. And there are weird people that maybe just like it, and that's cool. I like the people that own that shit.
hmm
Um, but
Own who they really want to be, even if it's like super
even
weird.
if it's weird, yeah, it's cool because then you don't have this like feeling for them. You're just like they're doing whatever they want to
Yeah, they're
do.
doing makes them happy.
Happy.
Yeah.
Um, or like what's another one of those people like?
I would say even people who like do drag.
Oh yeah. Well, they have their no. I don't feel bad for anybody that does drag because they're
Oh,
fucking rocking that shit all the
yeah.
time and they own it.
That okay, yeah,
And
that's what
like
I was coming from
drag
with it.
culture has built so much of like what our pop culture is.
Mhm.
We steal a lot from drag culture.
Mhm.
Even the way women do their makeup, like contouring, that comes from like a lot of drag.
Or okay, so I think people who have like body deformities, like if
Mm-hmm.
they've gotten burned or they have like what is it called when you have like spotted kind of skin? Alopecia, is that what it is?
Alopecia, isn't that when you're losing your hair?
Oh, I don't know what it's called. But
Or like
people,
people that are like small.
yeah, and they're just like out there doing their thing. They don't give a shit what you think,
Yeah.
and makes because they're just being comfortable. Like those are people. I'm like, yeah, like you are. I don't know. You like you're just killing it. Like you have a lot of confidence, and you're doing what makes you happy.
Yeah. Cause like in that movie, The Joker, like, or was it Joker?
I
Or
think
The Joker?
I think it's Joker.
Like you kind of, I don't know if you felt this way, but I felt like empathetic for him. I was like, yeah, fuck
Yeah,
everybody. They're assholes.
I did. I
He
think
kept trying to
that's
do the right thing and like the world kept fucking him
I
over.
think that's like the point of the
Yeah,
movie.
right? You're supposed to feel
Yeah.
like you understand why he's like
Yeah.
that.
I think did you watch the last Dahmer TV show, the series?
I saw the first like two episodes of
Evan
it.
Peters. Okay, that whole series was like so freaking good that I even felt some empathy.
What?
Yeah.
Well, because his dad, right? His dad
Just cuz of
and his
everything
parents, like
like
they were assholes
I
or
mean like
something.
he definitely has something wrong in his
Yeah,
brain,
psycho.
but like
I don't feel empathy for him.
the he was such a liar, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like he killed people, but like really, he wanted to be loved and give love,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't know how to do it
Yeah.
right. But that's really what he was trying to do,
Yeah.
because he didn't get that from his parents, and like obviously, like and his mom was taking pills, and he was a baby. Like that probably messed his shit up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did feel a little bit empathy because I'm like his reasonings were human nature, like wanting connection.
Mm-hmm.
The way he went about it was totally wrong.
Right.
And that's what happens with a lot of people who, commit murders and stuff, or like even
Yeah.
people with split personality disorder. Like
Yeah.
the reason why they created that is to protect them from the traumas that they've had.
Yeah, or it's like the only way they know how to express like some weird form of love or something like that.
Yeah, because they don't know how to receive real love or give.
Yeah, because the thing, I mean, I never finished the series, but the thing with Jeffrey Dahmer, he was after, was it only gay guys or was it only black gay guys?
Um, I think it was mostly black, but
Mm-hmm.
I think he did kill a couple non-black.
Because I don't know where I heard or read or something like about him being, would that be considered racist because he was only targeting black males? Or would it mean that he's just really attracted to black males and
Yeah.
that was who he was trying to like kind of love or engage? Not, I don't want to use the word love because it's so like weird to use in that context, but
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying like he didn't know how to love, so
Yeah.
he's trying to express himself in some weird way.
From the show, which I don't
Bad.
know how true it is, but
Yeah.
if it's mostly true, I will
Mhm.
say that he was genuinely attracted to
Mhm.
black men
Mhm.
specifically. Because there was a guy that he had a very close relationship with that he
Mhm.
didn't kill for like a few weeks,
Okay.
and then he did because he has issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he was attracted to black males.
Okay.
Um, I don't think he was racist. I mean, he probably was also racist. I don't know.
Yeah, weird, right? Like, how do you explain
I
that?
don't think he knew what the heck he was, but
Oh God,
it's
sick.
very interesting like the way they depicted it because I think the show wanted you to feel some empathy for him, which is kind of disgusting.
Which is so disgusting because it's like you create a show and it's a white man and it's like as if
Like, should you feel any empathy for
yeah,
this white
what
man?
the fuck? Why do we like put these murders and a lot of them are white males? Why do we put them on these like pedestals of like
Yeah,
Hollywood and
yeah,
glamorize like their actions and they're sick. They're sick
yeah,
fucks that should be shamed. I was just
yeah.
saying how we should bring back stoning. You know, when someone does some fucked up shit, we
Stone the
shouldn't
shit
kill
out of
them.
him.
We should let the public humiliate them and spit on them
Oh my
and talk
gosh.
shit to them because that's how someone learns.
Going back to
When
the
you get
Renaissance.
embarrassed, that's how you learn to stop doing stupid shit.
Yeah. I'm sure that in prison, they go through a lot of shit.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
I feel
Okay.
like you need mass amounts of different types of people to really shame you
That
when you're
sounds
an
like
asshole.
a good Black Mirror episode.
I think I should be the president.
Yeah, we just be stoning people.
Then I'll go to
Shit. No
jail
one's gonna
with
really mess
Donald
up.
Trump.
Shit. He's gonna go to jail,
Yeah,
hopefully. I have to pee
probably
so
not for
bad.
long. All
What
right,
about
well,
you?
we could just end it
Yeah,
here.
we talked about a lot.
Yeah,
We still looking for people to interview.
yes. Well, now that your schedule's changing, it'll probably work out better,
Yeah,
easier.
perfect.
So, all right, we're done.
Bye bye.
Bye.